North London delivers, but it's misery throughout Manchester. Meanwhile, McTominay's closing in on the Ballon d'Or, and the miracle of Morecambe is actual football heritage. This is DMAC Daily. 1 week is a long time in football. Case in point, Manchester City. Last week, these lads were the talk of the town. Reinders delivered a masterclass on debut, while Cherki was the new KDB, and old-timer Haaland bagged a brace. It was only one game, but the fear factor was back, until Tottenham pulled up to the Etihad. Granted, Ange's dysfunctional Spurs gave City an arse-whooping last season too, but fair play to Thomas Frank's men. That back four was rock solid. The midfield were physically dominant, and their attacking players seemed so well equipped for counter-attacking football. Johnson at the back post is a literal cheat code at this point. I can't lie, I'm liking this team. The same can't be said for City though. Cherki and Marmoush, stinker and hooked. Reinders was ineffective, as was Haaland, but the real worry was the display of James Trafford. He was arguably lucky not to see red, but then made a blatant error shortly after. Remember, City just dropped 27 mil on this guy to supposedly be the long-term Edison replacement, but now they're desperately trying to sign Donnarumma, who isn't exactly a proven sweeper keeper. Make it make sense. Meanwhile, Man United, the recent winners of the outplayed Arsenal trophy, were bang average away to Fulham. Ruben Amorim now has less points won in the Premier League than games managed. That is insane. Without sounding too reactionary, they're already in trouble. They've spent huge money on attacking players this window, but for me, the biggest problem is still currently being unaddressed. That midfield is abysmal. They don't have the personnel to play a two-man midfield effectively. Casemiro and Bruno as a double pivot should be illegal. I'm perplexed as to why Mainu isn't being given a chance either. Does Ugarte have Amorim's nudes or something? I feel so bad for that one dude who said he won't cut his hair till United win 5 games in a row. We're now at 323 days. Look at the state of his hair, man. Speaking of hair, and the prolific hair flicker himself, Viktor Gyökeres has silenced the haters, scoring a double as Arsenal ran rampant over Leeds. Dalman became the second youngest debutant in Premier League history, earning a penalty in another promising cameo. Eze was also unveiled as their new number 10. The only letdown were the injury blows to Saka and Odegaard. However, the BBC are reporting that neither appear to have suffered long-term injuries. Staying in London and no Palmer, no worries. Chelsea absolutely cooked West Ham. Paqueta's screamer was unreal, but it was the Blues Brazilians that would have the last laugh. Esteval on his first ever start with a dazzling assist, picking up the Man of the Match award. An outrageous talent, although personally I think Joao Pedro was robbed of best on ground. 3 goal involvements today, 6 goals and assists in 5 games already. Bro is flying. Moving to Merseyside and a historic victory for Everton at their brand new stadium. Iliman Ndiaye famously scored Everton's last ever goal at Goodison Park. Well, now he scored their first at Hills Dickinson Stadium. Incredible scenes, the venue looks unreal, and best of all, Grealish picked up 2 assists in his first appearance. Meanwhile, in the Serie A and Scudetto winners Napoli have hit the ground running in the 25-26 campaign, thanks to goals from Scott McTominay and Kevin De Bruyne. It's crazy as to how these two midfielders' paths have eventually crossed. KDB, after a decade of City excellence, opted for a fresh challenge in Naples, whilst McTominay, after never quite finding his feet at his boyhood club, moved to Italy and seemingly overnight became a midfield monster. The Serie A's most valuable player just bagged his 13th league goal in the space of a year. 9 of those 13 goals have come when the game was level. Bro is the definition of clutch and the definition of aura too. Look at this man chilling on the sideline after another stellar display. I've seen enough, lads. Minus 10 points for Everton and give McSauce the Ballon d'Or. We also witnessed another attacking midfield maestro on display in Como's Nico Paz with an assist and then free kick of the highest caliber in a 2-0 victory over Lazio. Shortly after, Tottenham saw their €70 million proposal for the La Fabrica Academy graduate turned down. It's believed Paz wants to remain under Fabregas's tutelage for at least another season. What's craziest is that Real Madrid have the option to sign him for just 10 mil in 2026. In other matches in this Serie A, Jonathan David bagged a debut goal for the old lady, with Yildiz picking up 2 assists. These two are gonna ball out this campaign. Modric's Milan took a surprise L at the San Siro, a result Theo Hernandez took joy in, which is wild. Moving to Germany, and the Bundesliga is already a foregone conclusion. Kane, Olise, and Diaz, yeah, it's a wrap. Bayern are winning the title. I mean, Dortmund are a shadow of their former selves, and Leverkusen have been torn to shreds this window. Their team's unrecognizable. I don't really see any team putting up a legitimate title challenge. That being said, I think Eintracht Frankfurt are going to be an entertaining watch this season. Yes, they have lost their two best players in the space of 6 months, but they've since got another unreal duo in the pipeline in Can Uzun and Jean-Matteo Bahoya. I'm telling you now, these two gems are going to be their next 9-digit sales. They've also got additional firepower throughout the attack. But perhaps my favorite moment of the weekend came via the post-match interview of that game. Werder Bremen skipper Friedel swapped shirts with a Frankfurt player at full time before hopping on the mic. The reporter then proceeded to ask him if he was happy with the victory. The captain cringed before saying, "I'm a Werder Bremen player in case you don't know." Yikes. Heading to La Liga, and Barcelona got it done against Levante, coming from 2 goals down to steal all 3 points. Rashford was somewhat quiet on his first start for the club. Pedri scored a screamer, and even without getting in on the score sheet, Yamal was still Barca's most influential attacker. Their main rival Madrid also hit 3 on the road in a dominant victory. Mbappe with a brace, Vini scoring off the bench, Rodrigo surprisingly started the game alongside Mastantuono, who both played relatively well. Another win, another clean sheet for Alonso. And finally, shout out to Morecambe FC in the National League. Their story is everything you love about the beautiful game. 6 days ago, this club was on the brink of bankruptcy, having seen their first 3 games postponed as a result. But at the last minute, they'd be saved by the Punjab Warriors Consortium, the first pro team in England to be owned by Sikh investors. Shortly after, they hired 30-year-old Ashveer Singh Johal as manager, becoming both the youngest manager in England's top 5 tiers and the first Sikh manager in English football. The club only had 6 players heading into this week's match day, yet with over a dozen late signings, managed to string a side of 16 players in their opening match day. They didn't even have a full bench, yet they still managed to prevail in their opening game of the season thanks to a 98th minute match winner. The limbs in the stadium were picturesque, a cathartic experience for those loyal fans who less than a week ago thought their beloved club would cease to exist. An unbelievable salvation. Anyways, legends, that's all for today's DMAC Daily. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, or follow me on TikTok, and feel free to support me on Patreon if you enjoy the content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.